Welcome back to Bisexual Killjoy, the place where we know bisexuality isn't a phase, it's a phenomenon. I'm Bailey, and this is...
Jace.
Okay, friends, we are headed to the West Coast for today's conversation, streaming out of this closet and into your speakers. Today's episode, Bi Plus History in Motion, we're looking at sustaining and cataloging Bi Plus history on the ground and on the screen, and from building one of the few longstanding local networks in the country to creating a film festival that's unapologetically Bi Plus, our guest has been doing the work for decades. And to tell the story, we are honored to welcome Martin Rawlings-Fein. Hi, Martin.
Very, very pleased to be here. Thank you very much.
Martin Rawlings-Fein is the founder of BiCONIC, a film festival celebrating Bi Plus stories and filmmakers, and a longtime organizer with the Bay Area Bi Plus and Pan Network. Through BiCONIC, Martin uplifts underrepresented voices in cinema, fostering visibility and pride within the bisexual plus community. With the Bay Area Bi Plus and Pan Network, he builds local community, organizes events, and advocates for Bi Plus inclusion across the Bay Area. A bisexual trans man, educator, and activist, Martin brings decades of experience in LGBTQ plus leadership to his work. His commitment to justice, storytelling, and connection drives his vision for a more inclusive future. We are so glad to have you here with us, Martin.
Yeah.
We're very, very happy to be here.
This season is all about the labor of crafting, keeping, and making Bi Plus history and legacy. We are very interested to hear about how you found your way to this work, the challenges and the triumphs of making space for Bi Plus lives and stories, and the things you've discovered about yourself and the broader Bi Plus community through this work. You've worn a lot of hats as a filmmaker, an activist, and an organizer. How did you first find your way into Bi Plus organizing?
Oh, I want to say that I first started Bi Plus organizing back in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with FTM International, so Female to Male International. We have an office space on Mission Street, and it was shared with ATM and Eagle Herc and all these organizations that couldn't afford having their own office space. So it was a big office space that we all shared together. We also shared it with ATM, Anything That Moves. I don't know if you know that magazine.
Oh, we've got copies.
Yeah. I mean, there was a real labor of love where someone digitized all of them. I'm very happy about that because I didn't want to destroy any issues to actually digitize them. So I was going to get on that, but thank you so much. I guess I first started organizing while I was just a volunteer. I stuffed envelopes for them. And it progressed from there. In the early aughts, I met my partner, who was the agony aunt from the magazine. And we started taking on the Bay Area Bisexual Network brunches and organizing them. And it just kind of snowballed. And, I'm just kind of one part organizer and one part activist and one part just volunteer, just doing the work.
Oh, I resonate with that really deeply. Yeah. That's how I identify. So what you're saying is that if you organize and get involved in the community, you can, in fact, find love.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, thank you. Listeners, if you want to know, how can I meet somebody, get involved in your local community in a real way.
Really, totally. Yes, exactly.
It's interesting, Jace, you know how yesterday we were kind of talking about the 6 generations of Bi Plus activism? I've got a pet theory about the generations, and it sounds to me like you're in this Gen 3, 1990 to 2005, when people entered into the community.
Yeah.
And Gen 3 and Gen 4 is when stuff is really popping and there's lots to do. Anything that moves is happening. You've also got some pretty active Bi Plus community spaces on the West Coast. And I don't know, it just seems like a good time to be bi, if I'm being honest. Is that true?
There was a really good time to be bi at that time. There were a lot of things that happened, like ice cream socials, and we had a newcomer group, and we had all these things that were happening. And they were all community driven. They weren't the LGBT Center has a group for us. No, not at all. We had to pay for the space. I mean, it was homegrown. There were a lot of people involved. It was really beautiful. That time was really beautiful.
Were folks passing the hat at this time and saying, hey, we need, $50 to rent out this room? Or was it one person being all right, I'm funding this?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Sometimes we passed the hat and it wouldn't be enough. And then we'd have to dip into our bank account and make it happen, Otherwise, nothing would have happened during that time. It would just be I don't know if you've seen the funding numbers from that time, $500. That was it. That was all that was available. It was the only grants that were coming out, $500 for something. And we were wow, that's really a lot of money. We could totally take on having a group, at this little space for 5 months on that. It'd be exciting.
Ooh. Woo. The 1%, the funding numbers you see now for Bi Plus specific thing translates to maybe a couple of $1,000.
Yes.
For everybody in the country. So maybe we are just all the same $500 circulating through every community.
It's kind of my partner has this theory that they're 10 bisexuals and they're each getting $10 each to do things, that's it.
There you go. Be happy with that.
Exactly.
Stop complaining.
Go buy an ice cream. What did the Bay Area's LGBTQ scene look like when you first started out? Yes, bisexuality is like popping, but like, were we invited to things? What was happening?
So as a mini bi plus activist, I was always like a push and pull to find support for younger activists and get people involved. It was a lot like fighting against invisibility and against marginalization. And there was a lot of online organizing, working with a trans community to start new brunches, things like that, new events, book signings. We had a lot of support group kind of things we put together, volunteer run, of course. It seemed like the bi plus community was on the rise. We were actually getting recognition sometimes. We were working across organizations because, the bi community, we're like embedded in all these organizations and we're doing the work. A lot of LGBTQ organizations are run by bi folks who are behind the scenes. And it's a little disheartening sometimes when, they don't get a lot of credit for that. I think I was at a Pride meeting and I was talking about the numbers and trying to get some support so we could have a booth and things like that with them. And I pointed out, the numbers. I think it was 57% of the LGBT community was actually bi people. And a bunch of people came out in the meeting and they were like, yeah, I'm bi. And it was hilarious and also very sad at the same time. And I was like, now I know that all these people are behind the scenes. And they worked with us and they got us a great booth and it was really awesome that year. But then, it just kind of goes back under.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what happened to all this great creativity and lovely stuff that was happening? Oh, wait. Yeah, because when we're in their view, hey, it's great. But when we're not in their view, it just becomes off center. Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. These LGBTQ plus groups are being run by bi plus people and we weren't getting in the recognition because our needs aren't, and I'm putting this in heavy sarcastic quotes that you can't see, as important. Bi plus needs are not as important. Okay, thank you for confirming my conspiracy theory.
The exploitation of bi plus labor is something that Bailey and I are super passionate about. Bi plus oppression is something that I will not shut up about, ever. And this is one of the biggest things that really stands out to me. We put in so much work to make sure that everybody finds community except us, except ourselves. And it's no, I just organized it. I don't need, and it's yes, you do need, because according to the statistics,
you are unwell.
Things are not looking great.
I'm thinking about specifically the Bi Area, Bi Plus and Pan network being this cornerstone of local community building. We all know, Bi plus organizations in general are kind of this rare and dying breed right now. We just lost Still Bisexual in a larger capacity than we've had in the past. There's an Australian bi group that can't get funding to do the programming that it's done historically. The Bisexual Resource Center is turning 40 this year, but still,
yeah, it's one place.
It's one place. It's a huge effort to get anything done, which means that all of the Bi Plus orgs that we know are very near and dear to our heart. So for our listeners at home who are not familiar with BPN, can you say a little bit about its history and just give us the story with the scoop?
Well, it's a network. There's a lot of groups, little pop-up groups that happen every now and again. It's more of a network of all those groups so that we can all be on the same page, kind of. The bisexual community has had a growing presence in the Bay Area since the mid-'60s. Maggie Rubenstein of blessed memory was, one of the first out there, this is what we need. With the Sexual Freedom League and the National Sex Forum and San Francisco Sex Information, the Institute of Advanced Study of Human Sexuality and Radical Therapy Collective, all of these things, they were all things that we kind of stand on the shoulders of. It was the Bay Area Bisexual Network back in the day. Well, we added pansexual to it because we were this debate is over. We need to fold everybody in. The BABPN educator, we challenged lesbian and gay organizations locally for the necessity of including bisexual folks and transgender people to their missions. We also worked in the city and county of San Francisco, on the Human Rights Commission, to disseminate the report, The Bisexual Visibility, Impacts and Recommendations. It was the first acknowledgement of bi needs by a civic organization, by an actual city. And that was really, really exciting for the Human Rights Commission. We've been around. It's been 1987. Hopefully I said that right because people are going to be you said the wrong date. Yeah, but it became large and then it became small again. Our fiscal sponsor was BRC back in the day, Still Bisexual more recently. Again, those 10 bisexuals, right? There were lots of people behind the scenes doing the work. It was more of a pickup game in a way. I couldn't do the brunches anymore. I was, having a hard time. I had 2 kids. It was I had this idea hey, can you take on brunches? And somebody was yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then a new group started and they took on the brunches. It's all of these little things that we're all community that really builds. If you want to do something, do it. We'll just support it. We'll put out a newsletter. We'll talk about stuff. We'll get things going. And for a long time, that worked really well. And then people just kind of like fell back into their cocoons.
Yeah.
It's just something that happens, you know? People will have a lot of energy and they'll do stuff and they burn out, right? And I think that's an important part that we need to remember that, hey, some people will burn out and they'll step back and someone else will come up and step in and do it. So it's important to notice that kind of play that happens.
Does that push and pull feel unique to BI+ organizations, or have you seen that in other queer spaces generally?
I haven't really seen it in the general queer spaces. I think that the BI+ community is very personal. You know, people have this real investment into like, I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be felt by people. I want to have that connection. And we had, you know, brunches where people were like, let's start something. Let's do something. Yo, this is really great. And then we'd have people who are like, where are all the people hanging out these days? We have like maybe 10 people at brunch. Oh no, what's happening? And I think that it's really important that as movers and shakers, as people who do things, you got to notice like, oh, hey, this person over here, they're sitting alone. Let's talk with them. Let's get them involved because they need to like have that moment where they're like, there's so many bi people here. It's so great. I'm wonderful. Let's do something. Hope that makes sense. I think it's an important thing that we involve everybody in building things.
It sounds like you're describing a time when decentralized leadership really worked.
Yeah.
When folks were really excited to not just be a part of something, but also be a leader of that something and to pick up where others left off. But what do you think happens when decentralized leadership is no longer as flourishing? Like what happens when we don't have an institutional North Star?
Yeah, it can be hard. It can be hard because there's a lot of organizations that are going under or something happens and somebody does something that you're like, oh, yeah, now we got to look at another place. We got to do this. We got to do that. Decentralized leadership is fun for a while. It can be very, very exciting. Sometimes you just kind of take the reins and say, hey, okay, this is the way we're going to go. We have to do this. I think of organizing the bi community as kind of saving people's lives one thing at a time, one day at a time, because there's just so much pain and anguish about not being seen and not being heard, not being on anybody's radar. You really want to have those connections with people because if you don't, they might slip through the cracks. They might not understand that they are a wonderful person and they need to be bolstered. They may not have that moment where they're like, this is so exciting. I'm going to take off here and do something and I'm going to feel good about myself while I do it. It's a tough thing, but I really do like decentralized leadership. I think that having the ability to like have pop-ups and people who, I want to start a book group. Yes, totally. Go with that. Run with that. Have fun with it. I want to start a barbecue. I want to start a...
BiCONIC is good.
So cute.
Okay, alliteration is big in the bi community.
That's true.
It's very big. I mean, like, geez.
I have no proof, but I also have no doubts that the amount of bees in a bi event title directly correlates to the amount of bisexuals that show up.
Yeah, totally. I totally tell that.
Noted.
Yeah, very well said.
Triple Bs, I get triple the bisexuals. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, the Bi Plus book crawl,
that was very successful event.
Good.
Yeah.
I like this idea of what you just said, BI+ organizing is saving people's lives one day at a time, because I don't know, sometimes we detract from the importance of validation and having your identity validated because it feels like soft. It feels too fuzzy to have impact. But that's such a psychological need to be validated and told that what you're feeling is real.
Yeah.
And I want all of our listeners to lean into that. If you've never been to a BI+ support group before, or to a BI+ event, to find something in your area or online, because being in a room full of other people saying, hey, me too, will just make you feel well.
Totally. It will. It'll make you feel amazing. You're like, oh my gosh, there are like 30 people in this room who are maybe a little off or sideways of me, but this is it.
What kinds of spaces and connections do people typically find when they come to BAPN events?
BABPN.
Okay.
People used to call it BABPN. Now can't figure out like a BAPN or something like that. Yeah, it'll find its way.
The network.
Somebody will find a way to figure out how to say that. So when people come to BAPN online, they will find a welcoming community where bi+ and pan people and queer people and fluid people, it's understood that and affirmed from the start. So there's no, am I welcome here? Yes, you are. Even partners, things like that. Our virtual spaces offer connection for folks who might not have been in an in-person bi+ space or networks. or who simply feel safer engaging online. There's a lot of people like that. We have social media, online meetups, community discussions. People discover networks of support, friendship, solidarity. Sometimes it becomes a pickup joint, and then I have to sit down people and go, wait, hold on a second here. This is not a pickup joint. We're just talking here.
Yeah.
If you need this, you can go this. They're all places you can pick up people. Not here. I want people to feel like they're part of a larger movement. I really want them to feel like we celebrate this bi+ identity, right? We're here for them. Online organizing also makes it possible to reach across the Bay Area and beyond. Sometimes it's hard. When I was doing brunches, doing the bi trans brunch, and I was hustling to get to the bi trans brunch all the way across town, I finally brought it over here because I live out by the zoo, out by the ocean, and it's in San Francisco. And so I'm at the edge of the world here, and lots of people were we really can't get to the edge of the world. This is really hard to get there. So I was please take it. Enjoy it somewhere else. And that was great. It was more centralized. It is more centralized. It happens at the Willows on Folsom. I think that it's really exciting that people feel oh yeah, I can totally do that. I can take this and I can run with it. And also there's this whole idea that online spaces aren't just about socializing, right? They're also about visibility. You can see a lot of people in the same space. You're oh, all these people are kind of like me. This is great. You feel this cultural pride kind of thing going on. Whether it's promoting events like BiCONIC or amplifying bi voices in local politics, or simply sharing a meme that reminds someone that they're not alone. BABPN's online presence, creates community, and it's both affirming and empowering. And I like that. There are lots of ways that we do it. I'm excited that even if I step back for a moment, there's still this community that goes on without me.
Oh, I love that.
And I can step back in.
Well, I actually want to talk about that. So full disclosure, I'm the events chair for the BRC right now, and I'm kind of new to the role, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I would love to talk about sustainability. What have you learned from sustaining a local bi+ community over the years?
So I've learned that sustaining a local bi+ community is about patience. Persistence.
Okay.
And trust. I mean, you really have to be able to trust. People come to the community with different needs. Some are looking for friendship or activism. Some are healing from past erasure. It can be a really big wound. Holding space for those people requires flexibility. You got to be able to be flexible. It's not always about being big enough or big numbers. Sometimes it's just the consistency of showing up and doing something month after month, year after year. It keeps the roots going. And I've also learned how much visibility matters. I mean, just having a banner or a booth or an online space that says bi+ reminds people that they're not alone. For many, it's the first time they've seen their identity reflected back in community. That can be life-changing. You can flip a switch on your brain that says, whoa, this is awesome. At the same time, sustaining a community means tending quieter behind-the-scenes work, organizing volunteers, which is really tough. Every year I have to get new lists going, securing resources, building bridges with other LGBT groups. It can be tough because sometimes LGBTQ+ groups, they don't see the bi folks until they're right in front of them.
Yeah.
And then it just leaves their mind as soon as they look over here. The larger movement goes on without us sometimes, even though we're embedded, right? And above all, I've learned that the bi+ community thrives on joy as much as resilience.
Yeah.
Yes, we organize against erasure and for justice, but we also celebrate ourselves through food, sometimes through art, sometimes through music, sometimes gatherings. And that joy keeps us really coming back. All of this is all connected. We're all connected through all of these things. I feel like it's really important that we just focus on joy a lot.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. And it's a good reminder. I'm just going to have Richie save that snippet for me. And when I'm feeling down and out, be all right, play Martin's tape. I need to listen to that.
I want to say that I love that you mentioned it, but I don't love that it happens. Bi+ folks really need to be in the face of LGBTQ+ organizations in order to be included at all.
Yeah.
Bailey knows this. I'm really passionate about making a distinction between visibility and recognition. And it's just because I'm not physically in your space, just because I'm not physically wearing the flag or purple or whatever, doesn't mean that bisexuality is not recognizable. It doesn't mean that I don't want to see myself in these things. Visibility is not a unique bi+ struggle, right? It's not something that happens only to bi+ people.
No.
So in order to combat that, it's about recognizing. It's about actively going out of your way to include bi+ folks, to make sure that they're on your boards and that they're being loud and proud about it so that others can recognize themselves in that. And how important it is for recognition to happen even when you can't see it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And before we have a longer conversation around visibility and recognition, we're going to take a pause and have a word from our sponsors.
Bisexual Killjoy is growing, friends.
What started as just a podcast has now blossomed into a whole community project.
We're not only dropping episodes, we got culture commentary and hyper-personal essays just for you on our Substack. Get all your burning questions answered through our advice column, Give It To Me by Plus, and you can hang out with other Killjoys in our brand new Discord server.
The best part?
It's free to join.
But if you love the work we do and want to make sure we don't burn the fuck out, you can become a paid subscriber and you'll get sweet perks like bonus episodes, bonus posts, and exclusive discussion groups with your favorite Killjoys.
We'd love to have you in the mix.
Come join the community.
See you there.
And we're back. Martin Rawlings-Fein is talking to us now about the importance of representation, and we're about to get into BiCONIC, a unique film festival dedicated to BiPlus stories and creators. Even before we talk about all that, we just want to say thank you for the work that you do, for dedicating space, carving out space for BiPlus people, not just as consumers, but as makers. And that all said, what on earth inspired you to start BiCONIC?
Okay, so I was inspired to start BiCONIC because I wanted to create a space where BiPlus stories could take center stage. Previous to this, there was, I want to give credit where credit is due, Allegra. There were people who had a Bi Shorts, Bi Candy frame line installation, and it was like a short catalog, and it was part of frame line, and it was a really lovely little thing that would happen on the Wednesday before Pride Sunday. And so everybody would show up in their like Best Buy, whatever, and hang out and like talk at the BBQ in Dolores Park. And it would be really fun. And they'd learn a little dance, they'd schmooze and all of that. It was really a fun, lovely time. And then they would go to Allegra Hirschman and April Hirschman had this film festival. So they had BBQ and then they had the film festival. They both did this thing. And it was really awesome. Everybody loved it. Until Frameline decided that they didn't want to have these identitarian kind of things and said, everyone's going to be queer and we're just going to like put this big queer over our festival. And they wanted to be, Oscar facing kind of, they wanted to like have the ability to be like a bigger festival. We lost that and we were like really sad and like we tried to get it back and nobody would give us time of day. And it was really sad for a while. We put them on blast for a little bit, but nothing happened. It was they were just, no. All the little bi groups in the Bay Area were like, these people did this. And then nothing worked. I wanted to do this. Bi stories take center stage. This is going to do this. So often in film festivals and queer cultural spaces, bisexual and pansexual characters are either erased or stereotyped or sidelined. I knew there were incredible BiPlus filmmakers out there, and their narratives were out there. It's just they weren't being uplifted, right? They weren't having any space to be in a festival. So I talked to Allegra, and I was like, I have to do this. I'm going to put together a festival, and then make it on the Wednesday, and then I'm also going to make it on semi-annual, right? And I'm like, ha, 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 And that was a lot of work. So
yeah,
we did a whole thing where we were like, you know what? So we can have it on that Wednesday. We'll make it a big thing. We'll have like the barbecue. We'll have all these things happen beforehand and make it a proper like film festival. I got some people on board who were going to help me, including Allegra and April and Celeste, their sister. And, all these things started happening. And it was like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. And Still Bisexual got on board. And it was a big deal. The first year was great. It was funny, and some people were like, well, why was that a bi film? I'm like, well, because it was a bi filmmaker. And that's what they gave us, and I thought that was great. They were like, well, it didn't feel like bi to me. And I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
So people had feelings about all of this. And in the second year, it was great because I think we got like 300 films the first year. In the second year, we got like close to 1,000. Mind you, a lot of them were stinkers. They were not bi quality. Let's just say that. We had to get a group together to actually watch them and make sure that they were like actually. Let's just say that Film Freeway is a great organization and they send people your way with their films, but not all those films are bi plus and not all those films are made by bi plus people. Sometimes neither. And so you just get a lot of like, why are they sending me this? This is not anything like what I want to see. So we have like questions that tell us, is this bi plus film? Does it have bi plus themes? Is this person a bi plus filmmaker? That's good, but it doesn't, stop the groaners from hitting us. So
how many volunteers do you work with on kind of a yearly basis?
I want to say, they're really dedicated. It was about 20 or so, depending.
Wow.
I mean, for little projects. I mean, like, there'll be 2 here, there'll be 1 here. But over the year, it's about 20 people I can glean. Some of our watchers, some of our committee are very, very keen on seeing bi content in the first 10 seconds. And they will, like, shut down a film if they don't see bi content in the first 10 seconds. They're like, I want to see somebody locking lips. I want to see this. I want to see this. And it's like, okay. So we have lots of people, lots of different values and visions, and it becomes more of a very good litmus test for bi films. We've got lots of really, really wonderful content in the second year. I feel like going into the third year, it's going to be awesome. There are going to be lots of really wonderful people who are putting things together. This year, we actually went to Creating Change, brought a bunch of films from our archive, and people really loved it. They thought it was like, this is amazing. Why has no one ever done anything like this before with just the bi community? Because to see yourself reflected on screen, whether it's your messy life or your... or your weird relationships, or you're burying your head in the beach. Those are all very exciting. We had a film where there was, I'll tell you about it later, but there were lots of like really fun films that have bi themes. A woman gets engaged. She's really excited. Then she goes to her Instagram. She's like flirting with a woman. She's like, oops, wait a second. I should have told my boyfriend that I was bi before all this. This kind of like, we have to talk, These are really exciting films that no one would really, I think people would see them, but they wouldn't have the same emphasis. Like, I don't understand why that film's about cheating. Like, oh no, you don't understand that film because you're not bi. And you don't understand that film because you're not clued into the culture, into the finger guns, into the lemon bars, all of that. It's an important thing that people have those connections. And you get like all these bi people in a room and they're watching a film and it's awesome. They all laugh at the same parts, and they're all very excited about being in community, watching something that's about their community.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And nobody's accusing them of stealing the spotlight.
Oh, no.
Nobody's accusing them of it. Why do you have to make it about you?
It was about me. I love how we obviously have a culture, and broader LGBTQ plus spaces tell bi plus people that they weren't raised and you're not culturally queer.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, because I'm like culturally bi plus. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love that you mentioned that the festival happened on the Wednesday before Sunday Pride. I remember when we first started the podcast, Billy was like, so when do you want episodes to release? And I'm like, I don't know. Wednesdays just feel like a very bisexual day to me. And
it's just
that's
true.
all I got.
Yeah, totally.
In these events, why do you think that film and storytelling are so powerful for shaping bi plus visibility and recognition?
So I see that this idea that, we take up space, like, you're the largest group, blah, blah, blah. Bi people are often erased or misrepresented in film. There's lots of films out there that have bi characters. It often feels like they're not celebrated at all because they're just like the punchline, right? And, a film can live longer than the credits roll, right?
Yeah.
In conversations and how someone thinks about their own reality or identity, how a community comes together. That's why I believe storytelling is the core of building bi plus community. It helps make us unforgettable.
Can you share with us a moment from the festival that has felt historic or transformative to you?
So one of the moments that I think about really felt truly historic to me was when Chris McNeely, an established filmmaker, came to present their film. And right alongside them, Tegan Maya Parkett-Morris, who was representing a very first-time filmmaker, and they were sharing theirs. Sitting there and watching them have this exchange between someone seasoned in their craft, who was talking about, like, I'm going to make a film about, like, feet, all these, like, really, like, all over the place, just, like, pitching ideas out there in the front of the room. I felt like I was witnessing something really special. It was like this amazing reminder of why I started BiCONIC in the first place, to create a space where bi plus filmmakers at every stage could come together and inspire each other and feel celebrated. And seeing Chris and Tegan share that moment made it clear that the festival isn't just about showcasing talent or films. It's about building a community where stories and voices feed on each other, right? And they build on each other.
That's what legacy does, right? It creates this foundation for people to build themselves on and also to build other people up on as well.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I mean, beyond just BiCONIC, I think your documentary, Bisexual, Come On, You Can Say It, which great title, love that, captures voices and culture that we've talked about they're missing from mainstream queer narratives. How do you see film functioning as a historical record for bi plus lives?
So I see BiCONIC as adding another layer to this long history of bi+ activism and culture. For decades, bi+ people have been organizing for visibility and for health and for recognition of LGBTQ movements and all this kind of stuff. But culture has always been like a big part of that struggle too. Storytelling gave us a way to reach people's hearts, right? Not just their politics, not just their minds. And with BiCONIC, I wanted to create a space where our stories are front and center, right? Mm-hmm. They're not just an afterthought or a side note. So by lifting the bi+ filmmakers, we not only celebrate their creativity, we also document the lives, right? Our struggles and our joy for the historical record. Years from now, I hope that people can be able to look back and see this festival as part of how the bi+ community claimed cultural space and said, hey, we're here and our voices matter. In that sense, BiCONIC connects that larger history by weaving culture into activism, and it stands alongside the marches and the conferences and the organizing. It does that through film, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that our visibility is not only political, but it's also artistic and it endures. A long time ago, in like 2014, I think. Oh gosh, I think it was around that time. The Gay and Lesbian Historical Society had us put together a big display of like all the cultural artifacts from 40 plus years of bi activism, right? And so it was really exciting. I was one of the curators, and we had this crack and peel stickers that said bisexual. Come on, you could say it. That's where I got the name from, because it was just like a crack and peel sticker that people pull off and like slap on something. I really loved everything. They had Linda, Susan, and Emily's wedding dresses for when they got married on the marches. All these little things that happened, the bi community way back in the day that people didn't realize. Like, oh, wow, there were bisexuals who were part of the marriage equality movement. Oh, I didn't know that. I know. Yeah. I see people rolling their eyes. Totally. Yeah. I'm there. There were bi people who were like marching for immigrant rights back in the 80s. I'm like, yeah. You're like, wait a second. Oh, there are bisexuals there? It's like, there are bisexuals everywhere. Mm-hmm. There's no place that bisexuals have not gone. There are probably bisexuals in Antarctica right now. But yeah, so I feel like there's so much going on in the world that people don't realize that bisexuals are part of everything. It's really, really important that we have those little captures so we can get that, like, oh, somebody's talking about being bisexual and they're non-binary. What the hell? How will my brain wrap around that? Because bisexual is not what you think it is. Yeah.
How about you don't think about it that hard? You're overthinking this.
If you keep it just like an actual ounce of thought, maybe we'll get somewhere.
As you talk about other movements that bi+ people are erased from, you don't even think about the non-immediately queer movements.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like marching for immigrant rights. Specifically, bi+ people are so removed from the HIV/AIDS crisis and said like, oh, bi+ people weren't there. You need to shut up because you haven't been a part of the movement. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you about statistics and how samples were taken in the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, but whatever. We've talked about the past and I want to talk about the future. But before we do that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey Killjoys, we've got big news. The Bi+ Book Gang just published its very first anthology, by all accounts. Now this isn't just another book. It's a collection of stories, essays, art, and poems from bi+ writers from around the world. It's about visibility, identity, joy, and resilience, and it's available in both print and ebook. So if you've been searching for a book that feels like community, this is the one. You can order your copy of By All Accounts today and help us put bi+ voices where they belong, front and center. And we're back. We're back with Martin Rawlings-Fein to talk about the future of bi+ activism and organizing. Part of resisting erasure is creating legacy, which we've been talking about in terms of film and art and joy. And through this, we empower the next generation to take over the work. And something that we have noticed in quite a few organizations and publications and in projects is that the next generation isn't being called in and mentored. And it sounds like you are. And how are you empowering the next generation of bi+ activists so that bi+ history can persist for another 30, 40, 50 years?
Ooh. Oh, wow. That's something I've thought about for a long time. Because bi+ activism can't just be about the present moment, right? Mm-hmm. It has to be about planting seeds for the future. For me, empowerment starts with making space for new voices. At events like BiCONIC, I've been intentional about highlighting first-time filmmakers right alongside more established ones so that the next generation can see their works honored just as much, and they belong at the table. They belong in that chair that's right there. Mm. That moment when Chris McNeely and Tegan Maya Parkett-Morris both presented at the festival, veteran, brand new, they captured exactly what I want to nurture: exchange, encouragement, and continuity. mentorship can also happen in smaller, everyday ways, like inviting younger activists to planning meetings, listening to their visions. That's really important. Giving them real leadership roles instead of just asking them to show up and do the labor. That's really important. I try to model transparency about the challenges of sustaining BiPlus organizing because, sustaining is a difficult thing, but also you want to share the joy. You want to share like the creativity of keeping going. We were doing the BiCONIC discussions, trying to get things going. Young activists from, another place who wasn't in the Bay Area. They're like right outside of the Bay Area. They were like, I'm just going to come up and I'm going to do this and do this. Like, well, could you do this? And can we do this? And maybe we can like highlight, the work you're doing. It was really lovely to have that ability to like share some joy rather than like, something's happening. I don't know what's. I like to share the joy rather than like the frustration. The joy is really important. And mentorship happens in small everyday ways, right? And I hope that by creating spaces where young bi folks feel ownership, where they can like, I'm going to do this thing and this is going to rock. Not just the participation, like, hey, glad you're here. We'll see you next year. I mean, like, that's silly. Why would you do that? They carry the work forward in their own ways. And they may not stay as like an organizer or anything. But if we do it right, the movement, it won't just survive for 30 years. It'll just go on forever and ever. If we just keep bringing people to the table and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. If you want to help out with this, you can. If you don't, you could take some of these ideas and run with it somewhere else.
If you don't, you can at least spread the word.
Yeah.
And that means more than you think it does.
Totally.
What advice would you offer to younger activists or aspiring activists?
Oh, geez.
Be profound. Go.
So my advice to younger activists is to root your work in joy and connection. Activism can be exhausting. Like if you're only just struggling against stuff, it can be really exhausting. But when it's about community, when it's about creativity and celebrating who we are, it sustains you. You find the projects that light you up and lean into them. That's awesome. I'd also say, don't be afraid to take up space. BiPlus voices have been overlooked for too long. So your story, your leadership, your vision matters. You don't have to do it alone. You can seek out mentors, collaborators across generations, and trust that the movement is stronger when we lift each other up. Don't break anybody down. Don't get up there and say, I have the vision, get rid of this person. You may have to take the elder, oh, well, yeah, they have that vision. And this is my vision for what's going to happen. Let's do this. But don't tear them down when you're doing it. It's an important part of it. That sharing of hey, I had to walk uphill 2 ways in the snow when I was doing my bi-activism. Take that grain of salt and then hey, I see that we should do this way because this will be more fun and people will get more out of it. I've had conversations like that before and you just gotta I get that and I love it. And thank you so much for sharing. And also let's do this. I'm of the mindset right now, if it doesn't slap and it's not happy and I'm not really feeling it, I'm not going to do it. And I want to make sure that those young people feel that they can say no. If somebody is we're going to do this thing that we've done for 50 years and this isn't how it always happens, they can say, no, you know what? That's great. I'm glad that makes you happy. And they're like, well, it doesn't make me happy. It's just what we do. And I'd like to bring some more joy to this. And I'd like to make X, Y, or Z. Let's try that. And know that those people, they will listen to you because you are the young person coming into a space that's kind of stale. It doesn't really have that much going on for it. They will listen to your voice. Don't think that you don't have anything to give because you do. Hope that doesn't get me, blackball from something. But
no, I think that's fair. This work is hard enough without doing something that doesn't spark joy because otherwise, why are we doing it?
Oh, totally. It's fun or I'm out.
This has been such an amazing conversation about the power of storytelling, visibility, and recognition. You know me, that I love that. It's been so inspiring to hear from you and knowing how important BiCONIC and a space for BiPlus specific people really truly is and how Bisexual Wednesdays are. I think that is my absolute favorite part.
That's my takeaway.
What should we be on the lookout next from you?
So our next BiCONIC will hopefully be in the Capitol.
Wow.
Creating change in January.
Oh, wow.
Because we did it this year. I'm going to bring it back as a sort of a mini fest. And people really liked it, so I'm hoping that they'll take it. But I will be there with the bi groups. Whether it's BiCONIC or not, I'll be there. Then we'll also be doing June 24th, the Wednesday before Pride, at Eclectic Box. Eclectic Box is an awesome place. It is really eclectic. They have great bi lighting. It's awesome.
Great sign.
And they have this bring your own theater design. So it's awesome and it works really well for BiCONIC. BiCONIC. And hopefully, I got some works in progress. Right now, I'm in pre-production, the pre-production stuff, What the Heart Wants. I'm hoping to have my first feature about a gay trans man navigating his bisexual awakening.
Oh.
And the compersion of his partner. It's every way San Francisco love story. It'll be really fun. And when I say pre-production, I mean like it won't hit any festivals probably until 2 years or so. I'm refining script right now. So I think it's really exciting. I'm going to hopefully have a really great time doing it. That's the fun part. I think that coming up, you'll see me some places, but it'll be really fun to get that film out of my head. You know, when you have a film in your head, you're writing and writing, and you keep refining and refining and refining. It is really difficult because you have to find the actors, you have to find the funding, you have to find all of this stuff. But I find that part of it really fun to do. I'm silly that way.
That sounds exciting.
Oh, yeah, totally.
We'll definitely be on the lookout for everything. Thank you so much for joining us, Martin. It was such a delight to hear your stories about BiCONIC and BABPN, as well as your perspective and your joy. Thank you for embodying the bisexual killjoy spirit in all the work that you do. We are here today looking towards the future with good energy because of people like you and all the work that you do. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for tuning into Bisexual Killjoy, where we know that bisexuality isn't a phase, it's a phenomenon. To support us, share us with your friends, family, and frenemies. Subscribe to our Substack. Rate our podcast, preferably 5 stars. As always, we want to hear from you. You can share your stories with us on Instagram or via email at bisexualkilljoy@gmail.com. We would love to answer your questions in our advice column, Give It To Me Bi Plus. So check out our Substack for more details on that. And until next time, keep being Bisexual Killjoy.
Stay bisexual and stay strong.